So luckily, there's long-term care insurance. And if long-term care insurance was as easy as some of the other insurances, it kind of wouldn't be a big deal just to go out into the marketplace, pick the best one, pay for it, and be done. Unfortunately, we have to go through a little bit of backstory. So if you didn't realize when you logged on tonight that you were going to get a history of long-term care, buckle. I will try and make it as exciting as possible, but it's very, very important to know what the landscape looks like right now because you can still go online. You can still go on Google and Google long term care insurance, and someone will sell you a policy, but you really have to know what you're getting into because things got very bad for consumers. But then, ironically, like I said, in the insurance world, for some reason, innovation of the different products that are out there. This is the one space where things have actually gotten so much better for consumers. This is basically a brief history of the long-term care insurance market. What you have to understand is why it's happening. And why it's happening is because back in the 80s and 90s, really when long-term care insurance came about, you have to think about the world at that time, what medical science did at that time. So the average life expectancy back in 1985 was about 73 years old. So in 1985, there was a bunch of 40-year-olds who went out and they called up their insurance guy and they said, "Hey, I need some long-term care insurance." And the insurance broker said, "Okay, no problem." And they went out to your Genworths, your Mutual of Omahas, they went out to your New York Lives and they brokered that deal. And that's fine because the actuaries at the insurance companies in 1985, they said, "Well, yeah, of course we'll write that policy that, we only expect that individual to live to be age 75. Here's their benefits and here's the premium." And they were issuing policies with very, very big benefits, very rich benefits, and they weren't charging very much. So whenever I run across someone, and it's less and less and less as time goes on, but whenever I run across someone with a policy from the 80s, I tell them hold on to it with an iron grip and never let it go because all those 40-year-olds who bought those policies in 1984 got 10, 20, 30 years older, and now they're in their 70s and 80s or 90s. So now in 2022 and 2023 that we're going into, medical science has advanced so far that the average life expectancy, it's actually higher than this now. I mean, we're in a little downtick, add another 10 years. But the average life expectancy in the United States now is almost 15 years. And end of life care has gone up. And people are diagnosed and treated for things that can extend their life. So if you had Alzheimer's in 1974, your life expectancy maybe was 6 to 12 months. Now it can be 2 to 4 years. So going back to the earlier slides, you can understand that these insurance policies they wrote and charged very little for now are bleeding. And they were bankrupting traditional long-term care insurers. How the industry dealt with that, and they were issuing policies 10, 15, 20 years later in the 90s and 2000s. And because of the technical legal type of insurance that long-term care insurance is, which is guaranteed renewable. So if you see here, guaranteed renewable means that insurance is like your health insurance. They have to renew it every year. The insurance commissioner in every state says you must renew it, but you can raise their rate by class. And all the insurance companies have to do is walk in with their books and say, "Look, we have to raise these rates, otherwise we're going to go broke." And the insurance commissioners approve every rate increase. It's just almost automatic. And what this translates to is I called a gentleman who lives out in Carnation here in the state of Washington. We'll call him Jim. And I said, "Hey, Jim, it's Chris." He was a referral. And I said, "Your friend said you had some long-term care questions," or I can't even remember how it started, but he started the conversation and he's an older gentleman and he's a funny guy. So anyways, he said, "Don't you stinking talk to me about stinking long-term care insurance." And he hung up on me and I went, "Whoa, hold the phone. Okay. I know what's going on." And I knew exactly. I said, "Hey, Jim, let me guess. You got a letter from the insurance company." And he said, "If they raise my rates one more time, don't you talk to me." I said, "Okay." So I went out there, I met with him. It turns out we're friends now. And I helped him. I fixed the situation for him. And he's just so happy now. But because the insurance companies were going broke, they started raising rates on all these insurance contracts that people have been buying. So that's exactly what's going on. Recent policy purchases are paying the load because of the mispricing of the old market. People are living longer. And the other thing about those old policies is they were like your auto insurance. You would pay on those policies. And then if you just died, they would never pay a benefit. Now, auto insurance is very important. If you never use it, that's good for you. Life insurance is very important. If you never use it, that's good for you. Long-term care insurance, same thing. That's just one of the differences that we'll take a look at, that things have really changed. The situation is so bad, and so many people were complaining to the state of Washington that the insurance commissioner actually has a page on their website where you can go and you can read about it. And it's going to tell you all about guaranteed renewable. Like I said, the math and the numbers, money in the bank is one thing. This is what really hits home. And I think this is what it's all about. This was in Money Magazine, I believe. This lady, Julia, had gone through exactly what I'm talking about. So in 2016, she took her policy in 1996. 20 years ago, she thought to herself, you know what, I need to take care of this need. I need to do it now when I'm young. So she bought that policy when she was 49. Insurance companies don't do this right away. You buy the policy in the year 2000, they're not going to start raising your rates in 2001. You'll kick into the curb. They're going to wait until you feel pot committed. They're going to wait till you spent a bunch of money. When people put money into a policy and then they are told they might have to walk away, that's very hard for them to swallow. But actuarially speaking, and it's justifiable on the insurance company's part, they're not evil. They're looking at the mathematics and they're doing what they have to do to stay solvent. This is where the rubber meets the road. They quadrupled over 2 years her insurance premiums. So what was once very affordable and a very good part of her financial plan really quickly became a financial burden. And then anybody in this situation is stuck making that really, really tough call. Hey, what do I do? So this is what one of those look like. So this is from another client. She lives east of the mountains. Over here, they sent her current benefits, her daily benefit, 5% compounding interest, 50-day waiting period, unlimited benefits, unlimited lifetime benefits. And she was paying $876 a month. So that was her old policy. Well, exactly what I talked about happened. So they sent her options, and it's literally a one-page form, and they say, check a box. What do you want? Do you want to reduce your benefits and be completely paid up and never pay again and have this be your benefit? Do you want basic paid up benefits and we'll give you a little bit of cash, I think is what that offer was. This one, they want to take away the benefit increase, meaning that inflation adjustment. They want to remove the inflation and reduce it. So different companies have different levers they pull. At the end of the day, it just means that you're either going to end up paying more or receiving less benefit. And the worst is, and I told her this because she was loath to let this go, was this was the first letter she got. Just because you check that box and mail it back to the insurance company doesn't mean you won't get another letter a year later where your benefits, like Julia in the last example, they quadrupled up and it took them 2 years. So what they probably did was they doubled it one year and then they doubled it the next year. She paid it, but I bet she didn't pay it for much longer.